All right, joining us to discuss the general expectation ahead of the release of that data is SABC News economics editor Tshepo Mongwai. Tshepo, good afternoon. Thank you for joining us.
It's a pleasure.
No, it's always a pleasure to have you with us. So it seems the sustained absence of load shedding, many assume, would contribute positively to the data we're to see tomorrow. What is the general sentiment, though, of economics commentators?
I think it's slightly upbeat, and many have expressed that we are starting to see some green shoots. And of course, if you look at it from the period around the beginning of the financial year, depending how you look at it, April, it's actually starting to mark a turning point in terms of a new economic cycle in South Africa. And that has been aided largely by improvement on the electricity front, where we are seeing that there's some significant improvement. And of course, that is also aided by the fact that there's been a lot of progress when it comes to dealing with the inflationary pressures that have been with us since 2021, end of 2021. And of course, the Reserve Bank, they've been using their instrument in order to ensure that they address that particular situation in order to protect.
To the chagrin of many residents, because I would say Mr. Kganyago has not been the favorite of some every time we saw him now targeting this inflation, although, as you say, it's the best and most effective tool to deal with inflation. Well,
I'm sure that is about to change now. He's going to be the most popular person when the Reserve Bank start cutting interest rates. I mean, people should understand that economy operates in cycles. There are certain cycles that might not be so favorable to consumers, but there might be certain objectives that form that part of the instruments that are used in order to deal with various issues that confront the economy through various cycles. And government has various instruments at their disposal. But the most important thing is to ensure that there is sustainability in the economy, and the economy in the long to medium term, it can actually be sustainable.
I want us to touch on the cutting cycle that's expected a bit later on. But first, just the figures. What are we expecting at least second quarter? What are most commentators saying? Is it a 0.4, 0.6? What are we expecting tomorrow?
Most economists' view ranges from 0.4 to around 0.6% in the second quarter from that contraction in the first quarter. And of course, aided largely by the fact that we've seen some improvement on the energy front. Our manufacturing sector has really been under severe pressure because of the lack of electricity, and that is going to be behind us, and also our retail sector. Obviously, if there is no electricity at the mall, you're not going to be shopping, and the operating hours are actually slashed. Because there is no such activity. So business confidence as well, and consumer confidence, that's very, very important, because it gives you the sentiments in the economy by those who actually have money and decision making that actually can aid in terms of driving economic activity in the economy.
Then what of the logistical challenges? Because those have persisted, and one would assume that they'd have a significant impact on the growth.
Yeah, we still have quite a number of them. That's why government came up with several initiatives like Vulindlela, Operation Vulindlela, to deal with the logistical constraints. And that's not going to be an overnight thing. It's probably going to take a while until we can achieve that we've dealt with a lot of structural rigidity in our economy. There are some progress that have been made in recent months that perhaps, you know, can be seen, but I mean, we still have challenges at local government level, and I think that needs to be ironed out, because businesses operate at that level, at local government, and they interface with local authorities, and if there are no proper roads and the water supply, it's a problem, and permits take a long time to be issued. that also creates problems. That's why you see that our growth at a pedestrian rate, I mean, for this year we're looking at around 1%. That's still very, very small, given that we want to create jobs in the economy, and we can't, given that. And before we know it, there will be a different cycle coming in, economic cycle coming out. It's going to compound the challenges that we're facing, as we were celebrating that now it looks like we've got growth. So I think planning needs to be in the long term so that we iron out some of the structural issues that we're confronting.
And then let's go to the possibility of the interest rate cuts that many have been talking of. I mean, at some point when you and I spoke, it seemed as though many commentators were saying this will possibly start next year. They were saying manage your expectations. But now, with what we've seen with inflation, food inflation, reducing somewhat, many are now hoping that we could still see cuts this very year.
No, absolutely. I think there's a wide expectation that will be a cut, but the Reserve Bank, I mean, the recent comment, it gives you a kind of a different idea that the Reserve Bank, perhaps they are not quite convinced that is the right time to cut. They want to look and be 100% sure, although you'll never be 100% sure in the economy, that the inflationary pressures have been well addressed, and when they cut, they are not, it's not prematurely. And I think that's the message that they really want to take it out there, that they're not going to be cutting prematurely, as they've also been the first to cut to ensure that, you know, when inflation comes in, they're already ahead of the curve. So they'll probably adopt a very cautious stance. But we already know that among the MPC members, there are those who are already calling for a cut. So you could actually get a sense of direction where this thing is going, that it's imminent. When, that's probably the question.
The all-important question. Tshepo, thank you very much as always for your insights. That's SABC News economics editor Tshepo Mongwai.